Hello, everyone. This is Thomas Pepin, NHL Talk. I'm Thomas Pepin, and let's talk about the NHL. So first thing, well, so sorry, I guess that I was sick for a few days, so missed some streams as I would normally do, uh, which I've tended to do daily. So sorry to have missed those from being sick. Uh, Also, sorry for today to have delayed multiple times. It's usually supposed to be at 1 p.m. and then I delay until now 6 p.m. or well, um, depending on your time zone. Uh, so wait, sorry. So it's usually 1 p.m. Eastern, and now it's 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry. So, anyways, sorry for being late. We'll just leave it there. So, just to give you, before I get into the subject matter, um, to give you a heads up. So, while I was sick, I was figuring out my schedule moving forward. So, there's going to be a number of new types of content. So, I'm going to be um, well, there's the playoffs coming up for one. So I guess I should address that first. So from now until the playoffs, the schedule is going to change as it will be more or less in the off season, but especially for next season. So that's for whatever. It's only like 2 weeks now, I think, until the playoffs, and then um, during the playoffs, what I'm going to do is just a preview of each series, um, give my predictions all in. I'm going to break it up into four streams, two uh, matchups. Well, each division basically. So I'll do two matchups in one stream, and then do that for each division. Then during the playoffs, I think I'm going to be posting this type of content probably um, once a week, I think is how it's going to turn out being. And then uh, in the off season, I'm going to start doing some live streaming of NHL 23. So just started to get things all set up for that. So in setting up the plan of what I'm going to do. So the plan is to do one series as I forget what it's called now because haven't played the NHL series for a while. But the Be a GM mode is what it used to be called. I think it's still called that. But anyway, so I'm going to do that and I don't know if it's going to be a pro or whatever. Anyways, where you do your whole career. So, anyways, I think I might do it as Bedard. I don't know exactly what the whole plan is yet, but so that's kind of what how the content's going to change slightly moving forward. So in the off season, the reason I'm going to start doing this is because there's going to be way less to talk about in the off season. So, so we'll have some content, and actually, in effect, I'm going to be able to do a lot of the things that I want or that I talk about. So in the be a GM mode, I'll get to be a GM, and I mean, although it's simulated and it's not really all that accurate, it's something, and maybe it'll be interesting to see the kind of moves I would make and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, yeah, so that's the plan. And then next season, there's going to be some changes where I continue with NHL 23 and then eventually NHL 24. for a portion of the content. Uh, Another portion is going to be similar to what I've been doing already, which is um, coming up with just things that are interesting to me, more from a management perspective, and doing those. Um, Probably also going to be doing some other types of commentary, not perfectly certain of exactly how that's going to shake out, but um, yeah, some other types of commentary. And anyway, so there's going to be just a lot more variety of content, I guess is the best way to put it. Um, and so I'm not going to have as much for the rest of this season as I have had through the whole season because, to be honest, for one, there's not going to be as many topics. It's just playoffs, and playoffs are, I guess it's more hype and whatever. There's not really much to say, and you can talk about performance, but everybody talks about performance. Anyways, it just doesn't seem like there's going to be as much to talk about during the playoffs. We'll see. So it's always going to be series previews, series reviews after to see how things went and if my predictions were correct. And then we're going to do that for each round. So preview, review, recap, whatever you want to call it. And then probably one other topic per week. And so it's going to probably average out to be about 2 streams per week. And I don't know how long it's going to take before I start to do the NHL 23 streaming. But it could happen during the playoffs. It might wait until after so I can do a bit more planning and organizing, but we'll see. So anyway, so just wanted to give an update on the whole plan because, yeah, so things are going to change slightly. So just want to make sure that you guys are aware of what's going on. Next thing, just before I get into the content, very quickly wanted to comment that I am not a Montreal Canadiens fan. I am a Winnipeg Jets fan. The reason why I'm wearing this jersey, I don't know if you can tell. It's a bit. Well, that might be a skate cut, actually. Funny enough, some puck marks. Is there anything else of interest on here? Anyways, I don't know if you can tell. This was stitched on, so it's a super, super old Canadiens jersey. Don't know exactly how old, but it was my dad's, and I think it's what he's had what he had since he was a kid, but I don't know for sure. In any case, it's quite old. I know that at least, and I know that pretty sure he wore this playing goalie. So you can think, I mean, this isn't that big of a jersey, and to fit the goalie equipment inside this is just unreal. So, anyways, yeah, I just thought I think it's a super cool jersey just to have, and so just wanted to explain the background of it. So, anyways, now we can get into the content, and we're continuing the NHL expansion series where we take a look at failed franchises and potential new markets to see if they would succeed in the next NHL expansion. And so today, which I've been wanting to do for the past few days, but just haven't been well, and today things got in the way to make me late, but really have been looking forward to doing this one because it's of all the expansion options, I like this one the most. Whether or not it's the best one, well, I would say it's probably not the best one already, even before looking into it. But I really would like a team to be in Wisconsin because the hockey market's so strong there. So that's why I like this one the most. And so really excited, and it just sucks that I've been sick and haven't been able to get to it until now. So anyways, so really pumped to go through this one here. So as always, everything's done on the spot, no prep work except for the subject. So so you get to watch me gather the data, analyze things, and then eventually I'll get into the summary, which will be later on. So so as always, we have a spreadsheet here that I use, and it's got all the data that I'm analyzing. And so we'll start with the population for, I had this pulled up already, for Milwaukee. Let's just search. So 1.5 million approximately. Stupid thing. So not too small, but we're getting pretty small for market size, at least from a population perspective. Next up, hockey registration. And in this case, we'll use the whole state. Or should we do the whole state? No, we'll get the rate and then translate it to the region. It's still going to be, I think, almost the whole state anyways, because there's not much population in Wisconsin. But where is Wisconsin? So we've got this. So we're going to reverse engineer this as we've done previously, where we take the divide the registration into the population to get a rate, and then translate that to the area surrounding where the team would be. So next we need Wisconsin population. Then we take that population times it by the rate. Man, that's small. Still not the worst though. All right, and then for attendance, this one's tough. If I had to take a guess, Milwaukee would probably perform similar to Michigan. They're right beside each other, and I would argue the markets are essentially the same. Let's just compare the states, though. I just want to make sure that they're similar enough to no. It's half the population. What is... Oh, wait, I can just go back to here. Man, that's a huge difference. And then what's the... state rate? Oh, sorry, I'm not Michigan. Minnesota, sorry. Because Minnesota's got probably, I believe, a similar population. My bad. There we go. Okay. So Wisconsin's got a better population than Minnesota. Um, so it's the Wild that is going to be the most comparable. What was the other thing I wanted to see? Minneapolis. 3.6. Yeah, see, this is where it's quite a bit different. So less than half the population in the well, metropolitan statistical area is what they call it. Yikes. Okay, so how exactly can we compare? So Minnesota, I believe, is sold out. Oh, I don't have that saved anymore. Yeah, they're at capacity every season. And what was the so Minnesota? It's actually 3 times the rate of hockey registration. Minnesota versus Wisconsin. So maybe they're. So Michigan is a similar market. It's just that the population is substantially different. Well, is there any other comparables that we can use? Colorado, but the population for them was way, way more. New York, Buffalo? What's Buffalo's population? Oh, wait, no, I want to check it this way. There we go. Okay, so this is actually. So Buffalo's probably the best comparable because population is similar. Rate of hockey registration is similar in New York. It's less, but I mean, if it's less in New York and the population is less for the team, then the performance should be better in Milwaukee than in Buffalo, is what I would argue already. So I think that's probably the best comparable then. So we can essentially just use Buffalo's data to approximate what Wisconsin would do. So let's have a look. See, and it's quite strong, and it's a very small market. Now, mind you, it's very close to Canada. It's like, I don't know how close to the border, but a tiny, tiny distance from the border. I know that because I've gone to Buffalo for at least 2 games. I think maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. Anyways, super close and easier to get tickets and stuff. So you're getting a lot of Canadians, but where is Milwaukee? Did I spell that right? Not bad. How close is it to Canada? Yeah, you're not really getting any Canadians coming in. Nah, because you're not getting anybody from Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah, it's just going to be American fans. Now, I'll wait. I was just going to start talking about something else, but we'll wait on that. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what data I use for the Buffalo Sabres. Did they change their arena? Because I believe it's new, is it not? Let's see if it tells me. What was the name of it again? KeyBank Center. So in 96, it says... going back further, I don't think that's... I mean, really, I could use Buffalo's data. 1920. The other thing I should check is Milwaukee has a... I think it's Milwaukee Bucks, right? The NBA. Yeah. So they're at Fiserv. It's a weird name. Must be a company. Anyways, so I think I already saw it there, but I want to make sure that it's correct. So 15,000 is the capacity for hockey. So we will use the arena that's currently in existence. When did it open? Good, so it's relatively new, which is nice to see. So what we'll do is use the same rate as Buffalo and then translate it to Milwaukee's arena. So I'll show you what I mean here in a sec. So Buffalo's worst attendance, we'll go in the past 10 years, is equals 17908 divided by that, whoops, times that. Oh wait, what? good. And then we want the capacity for Buffalo. Hockey is 1907-019. That's good then that they haven't been at capacity, not for them, but for this, just because it'll make it more realistic, I think, in the end. So 564 592 970. I think that's it. So 18970. And then did I... Oh no, I didn't do that yet. Okay, so stupid. That divided by the capacity, and now we get the approximate attendance. Cool. So let me just make sure I got that right. So 7908, yes, and then 8970, good. Okay, and then we need, I don't need that. Don't need that. I do need that. So we want 908 is 1819. So this gets us the attendance for the league in that season, so we can compare to same year, and then we know how low, or if it's bad for the year, basically, compared to other teams. And then the max year is 12-13, and I don't think there was a lockout that year. There was. So maybe I, excuse me, don't want to use that year then. It's the next best. 5659 59 592 18592, and that is 1617. Two, 3, 0. Cool. And we don't need that anymore. We'll keep this. Valuation, we could approximate that it would be about the same as Buffalo, because really they're nearly the same, it seems like, or they probably would be the same. Team values. Sabres are not a strong team financially, but they exist, and I don't think they're disappearing yet or anytime soon. Minimum divided by capacity. Max capacity. Min leak. Max leak. Okay, cool. So all the data lines up here. Should I talk about the data first? Yeah, I think it all lines up anyways. Okay, so first, just regarding the population, as you can tell, the population base is quite small compared to a lot of the other. Did I put that right? Yeah, okay. Quite small compared to a lot of the other options. Still better than some of the least, like Winnipeg. Mind you, the registration for hockey is kind of small. So it's similar to like a Quebec City, smaller than Quebec City even. So it's not that strong. Similar to Columbus. And actually, the population's similar to Columbus too. So we could have used that as the comparable, maybe even should have. Maybe I should make an adjustment and use that instead. What's Columbus? Oh, wait, that's another thing I want to check is Ohio's rate. No, it's a lot less. So, so the rate of hockey registration between New York and Wisconsin are similar-ish, but it's better to estimate lower, and Ohio's starting to get like way, way lower. Buffalo's a team that's been in existence for a while, so maybe Columbus is a better choice, but I think in effect, or in reality, Columbus has similar attendance to Buffalo, where they're basically at capacity, if I'm not mistaken, when we looked last time. So let's just double check. But anyways, so if they are the same, then really not quite. So in this case, maybe I guess I'm getting ahead of myself here, but it's still kind of the same subject, so it's difficult. Whichever one I do first, but so on the low end, so what we did here is we took the percentage of capacity Buffalo does, multiplied it by the capacity of the Milwaukee arena to get the approximate minimum and maximum attendance for Milwaukee. So it's probably correct, but let's just yeah, because New York, the registration rate's lesser. So you would think that although the team would be new, it would have similar characteristics to a strong fan base. because of greater population than Buffalo, greater hockey registration as a percentage of the population. Um, so it just makes sense that it would perform similar to Buffalo. But what I'm getting at here is if we want to actually take another version, which is Columbus. So Columbus has a lesser population, is a new team. It just doesn't share the same characteristics regarding hockey registration because it's dramatically less, as we just saw there. So it was like what was it? 0.142 for Ohio here. So in that sense, it's not going to perform quite the same. Excuse me. The same way as Columbus, because the fan base should be stronger, and the population's greater. So, anyways, so just to give another example of a comparable, if you want to compare it with Columbus, which, as I just said, it has a lesser population. The registration as a percentage of the population is lesser, so it should perform to a lesser degree than a Milwaukee team if Milwaukee came into existence. So on the low end, really the performance for attendance is similar to what we're estimating for Milwaukee. So low end for Milwaukee, we're estimating 14,253. On the low end for Columbus, 14,000 whatever. Going down to 13,000 back in 2010, but that's going much further back. So if you go similar, or the current performance of the team for attendance, they're basically at capacity, and we're probably underestimating the performance in Milwaukee, but the capacity of the arena is a lot smaller anyway. So in any case, it seems, even comparing to Columbus, probably similar performance. If anything, we're probably underestimating the performance. It's probably going to be at capacity given the capacity of the rink. So only 15,000. Well, 15,178. So, but I wonder if that can expand. So, because for basketball, I believe it's a lot more. Or is it a lot more, or is it similar? Where is it here? So 17,000 versus 15,000, and what's the difference for? What's another one? Let's just do Toronto Raptors because they came first to mind. What's the difference between basketball and hockey? 1,000, and then this was about 2,000. So maybe they could up their capacity to ballpark 16,000, and then in which case it's going to be more towards the norm for NHL rinks. So in any case, it's big enough. It's probably good for the market. They would just probably want a bit more room for growth because I think the market would perform well and grow. So that's what I would argue, at least for the rink and how the attendance would perform. So just to kind of summarize, basically, it's probably going to perform similar to Columbus. But likewise, similar to Buffalo, somewhere in between the two. Buffalo's the high-end estimation, Columbus the low-end. As a percentage of capacity, I guess, maybe is the best way to say. But in any case, it's going to be somewhere around those, is what I would estimate at least. So Um, so that's, I guess, basically, excuse me, basically it about um, attendance and capacity. We'll summarize in a different way later on, but so what I wanted to get to here, which I thought was really interesting and I noticed right away earlier, I won't need that, won't need that. I'll keep this open. Uh, won't need that, won't need that, won't need that. I'll keep that open. Okay, um, so something I noticed, and I'll make this full screen here so you can see it better. So it's tough because because I do this on the spot, I keep coming up with things that I want to talk about, but I got to kind of stay organized, and it's all done on the fly. So I don't have a structure outside of, well, the fact that this series has had a structure kind of established earlier. But what I noticed and wanted to talk about was the geographic location of Milwaukee. So you can see it here, right near Chicago. And the reason why this is extremely interesting, and right away it like triggered something in my mind, is so earlier in the series we spoke about markets that I considered but didn't make the cut. And one of those was Chicago having a second team. I've heard small rumblings from people talking about it as an option, and it really does make sense because if you take a look at the metropolitan area, the population does ballpark justify a second team. So 9.5 million is the region's the metropolitan statistical area's population. If you take a look at that and then you contrast it with New York, so New York has 3 teams with 19.7 million population, and Chicago has 1 with 9.5. So let's do the math. So actually, I type it when you can copy paste. That divided by 3 versus this divided by 2. So the difference is 6.6-ish million population per team in New York versus 4.7, 4.8 in Chicago. And what we already know is that 4.7 million can support teams. So for example, you've got Boston 4.9, Detroit 4.3, Seattle 4, Minneapolis 3.7. So you go down the line, all these different regions can support a team. You take Chicago divided by 2, it seems as though it should be able to support a team. But the reason I said it didn't make the cut is because of, I believe it was potential fan base. I didn't think it would be strong because Chicago has been very up and down with their attendance, even though it's the only team in the market, and even though it's an original 6. I always forget how many teams it is. I think it's 6. So anyways, not important. But so the fact that they've had trouble keeping the rink full with such a high population and being an original team made it so it didn't make the cut. And so as a result, I couldn't justify having a second team there. But now going back to what we're talking about now, as a kind of meet me halfway thing, if you put a team in Milwaukee, it's right near Chicago, and in effect you can capitalize on that unserved market in Chicago if there is one, the definite unserved market in Milwaukee, Green Bay is not too crazy far. So really, just because Chicago could, in theory, have a second team, Milwaukee doesn't have a team, and Wisconsin's a strong state for hockey, it makes tons of sense geographically to have a team there. Now, the one problem I would say is that, so it's, uh, you can argue kind of both ways. It's close, so maybe the fact that it's close um, means it might not survive because maybe all the fans are going to Chicago, maybe. But I would argue that if you're from Wisconsin and you get a team, you're going to be cheering for your Wisconsin team. I would be extremely surprised if they were currently Chicago fans and wouldn't switch to Milwaukee, especially the young population. Um, anyways, I just think geographically, yes, you can argue that maybe you wouldn't be able to have a fan base, a strong fan base, but you could argue the complete opposite because of how strong Wisconsin is for hockey. So market maybe not, fan base definitely a strong market. There's, like I said, it's kind of both ways, but really in the end, I think it's like a clear as day strong market. It just doesn't make sense to me why it wouldn't be. Um, and then, considering what we just spoke about with the comparables with Columbus and Buffalo. So, anyways, so that's it on that stuff. Next, we'll just briefly talk about valuation. So they're probably going to be one of the lowest valued teams. So Buffalo 5 million, Columbus 500 million, Columbus 475. So maybe Columbus is probably a better estimation of the valuation. So it's going to be ballpark one of the lowest valued teams. But I think it's perfectly sustainable. Columbus is starting to be at capacity all the time. And I think right away off the hop, Milwaukee would be at capacity. It just seems like it would make sense for that to be the case. So I think that's all we need on this stuff. Now, if you take that percentage of capacity, so what we did was Buffalo's attendance as a percentage of capacity, multiplied that by the capacity of Milwaukee's arena, which already exists, which I guess I should have commented on that. The fact that they already have an arena that's going to be suitable for hockey, or my assumption is suitable for hockey. And actually, yeah, we should talk about I think it's an AHL team there, just before we close off the subject. But anyways, we'll still talk about this first. But so they have a rink already set up. That's another thing in their favor. Why choose another market when you've got one with a rink already set up? So it just makes sense from that perspective as well. Now, going back to what I was just talking about, so Buffalo's attendance as a percentage of capacity multiplied by the capacity of Milwaukee. On the low end would be at 93.91% of capacity. On the high end, 97.49, which is why I said they should probably want a bit of space to expand, because I think they're probably going to be at capacity relatively quickly after they would come into existence. And then so on the low end compared to the league, it's at 81.65, and let's see what's the comparable here. Similar to the estimation for Houston, probably better than a second team in Montreal. else? Better than Columbus, probably, but on the low end, probably the same. Similar to Colorado. To be honest, it probably would perform similar to Colorado as well. And then on the high end, it's, perfectly fine. Maybe not quite, it's a bit low. So, for example, because of capacity, it's lower than Winnipeg. Where else? So yeah, just on the versus the league average, even if it was at capacity, it's still going to be one of the lower performing teams for attendance. But still, I would argue, it's going to be a stable, sustainable franchise as far as I can tell and estimate. So maybe in the long run, like I said, maybe you'd want to expand the capacity of the rink. Maybe you'd want to move into a different rink. It's pretty new though, so expansion of the rink probably makes more sense if it can be done. So it's not going to be a super high performing franchise, but it looks like it would be perfectly stable right from the start. Similar to like a Minnesota, Columbus. Yeah, so I think it would be perfectly fine. So the last thing I wanted to talk about here, now I got to remember what that was. Where was it? Was there something else, or did I already cover it? Minimum, max capacity. I feel like I didn't cover it, but I don't know what it was, and now I'm not remembering. Anyways, it can't be that important if I'm forgetting it. So, AHL, that's what it was. So it was important. So I do have to check that before we close off. So just one sec here. I need this. Okay, so now we want to check what's the team in Milwaukee? Admirals? Yeah. And so we want... Are they playing in that arena? I wonder. No, okay. So they're playing in a rink with 9,652 capacity. I want this. So not really performing that great for attendance. Let's compare it to the league. So it's kind of middle of the pack, really. I don't, like I said, I don't think that's necessarily representative. So, for example, the Marlies are towards the middle too. Toronto's a hockey mad market. Bridgeport, Belleville, Manitoba Moose. So it's because, there's other things to that you might want to see, and the AHL is not the best of hockey, at least. So I think it's kind of misleading, but it's interesting to at least take a look and consider it. Is there anything really I want to comment? No, not really. So, anyways, from the AHL perspective, doesn't look that strong, but I think that's misleading because once you get an NHL team, you're bringing in different types of things to the rink too, like corporate attendance, and it's more of a spectacle, and it's high quality hockey too. So you're going to be bringing in people. It's like we saw with I could have sworn there was a couple examples. So I think Atlanta was one where their AHL wasn't that great, but their NHL was a lot better. Still not very good, but a lot better. So it's just misleading comparing the AHL numbers, but it's still at least interesting to look at. So it's not bad, not good. I don't think it tells us anything, basically. And on that note, I think that's about it, really. So altogether, I guess you could say, I would argue that Milwaukee looks quite good. Not like it's going to be a strong market. It's going to be something like a Winnipeg, like a Columbus, like a smaller market, but just with a strong fan base. And that's the reason why I really wish and hope that Milwaukee does get a team is hockey mad markets deserve teams. Just as a hockey, like a real, maybe it sounds a bit dumb to say. I was going to say as a real hockey fan, but I mean, that kind of sounds stupid. So, as I guess a hockey purist, maybe, however you want to argue it, I just really, I think, so there's regions that have strong hockey fan bases. They really like hockey. They're passionate about hockey. They deserve teams because they're passionate about hockey. You shouldn't be putting these teams in markets that are just could care less about hockey, like Atlanta. Why would you put a team in Atlanta? I know it's because of, corporate stuff, local industry and all that kind of stuff, and there's money. I think I read something about broadcasting companies. There's a lot in Atlanta. Yeah, whatever. Atlanta failed twice already. You're gonna try it a third time. I think it's stupid, and especially because there's no fans there. It would be purely a business decision, and even as a business decision, I think it would be stupid. It makes sense to go where teams are likely to succeed for one, and second, and I would argue probably more importantly, to go where there's real hockey fans, because those teams, they're going to get their team and they're going to keep their team in all likelihood. So for example, Winnipeg, they're so I used the whole province for this series, but what I should have done was taken the metropolitan area. And the team looks relatively stable. I mean, I wouldn't argue too stable. It's probably one of the weakest franchises in the whole league, but their population is 834,000 approximately. And the what was it for the province? Give me one sec, because this might be interesting here. No, it's not quite the same. So, because yeah, it's like 2% of the population is registered in hockey, whereas in Wisconsin it's 0.36. So it's not really the same. So it's a small market, and in that case, it's not going to be super strong. But I think because franchises tend to be stronger in the U.S., and paired with the fact that it's a strong hockey market, I think it's like I said before, it's going to compare, it's going to perform in a similar fashion to Columbus or Minnesota or something like that. So it seems perfectly likely that it would work. It should have a team because it's one of the strongest regions for hockey. It's just, again, like I was saying, as a hockey purist or whatever, however you want to put it, hockey markets, strong hockey markets should have hockey teams, and this is a great example of one that should, for all the reasons I've already given. So I guess that's a good way to end it. Milwaukee should have a team. Of all places, I'd probably like it most. But we'll kind of get to that in the next stream. So coming Monday, I'm going to do a summary of the whole series, and we'll talk about all of them, and I'll rank order them in terms of my preference. And probably also, I guess maybe that's, two ways I can do it. I can rank order for my preference and rank order for likelihood of succeeding. So anyway, so that's going to come up on Monday. I currently have the stream scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern. Or wait, sorry. What do I have it scheduled for? 3 p.m. Eastern? Yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern. Sorry. Time zones and time changes. I'm trying to remember. So, yeah, 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Probably, if I have any adjustments, I'll change the schedule on the stream. But, yeah, we're going to do a summary of the whole series. And, so that's about it. So thanks for tuning in. If you like the stream, hit the like button, share with your friends, subscribe, turn on notifications. Otherwise, channel homepage has upcoming streams. It's still supposed to be 3 p.m. Eastern, not daily anymore. I'm going to have to change that in my channel description. Basically, I think the way I'm going to plan it before the playoffs is Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, which is what I have planned for next season. Or is it? No, it's Monday, Wednesday. But I do have stream scheduled for every day. So anyways. So for the rest of the regular season, I think I'm still going to do Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. And then during the playoffs, it's going to be sporadic based on when series start and end. And then the off season, if you go back to the beginning of the stream, that'll tell you what the plan is for the off season. So anyways, long story short, just take a look at the channel homepage for the upcoming streams. I'm going to aim to have everything at 3 p.m. Eastern still. It's just the days are going to be probably inconsistent. So just take a look at the channel homepage to see when I'm streaming next. And no more series for the rest of the season and playoffs. They're going to be just random topics that I'm going to come up with. And then mostly kind of just cover the playoffs basically. So that's the plan. And I forget if I already said any comments, leave them in the comments, and suggestions, same thing. And then we'll see you Monday. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you then.